You are listening to PastThink.com audiobook. Please like and subscribe, thank you. Chapter 64. Kong Ming plots to capture Zhang Ren. Ma Chao's family are all murdered and Yang Fu sets off to destroy Ma Chao. Yan Yan's plan is very simple. Given his status and reputation, and the fact that all the garrisons from Bazhou to the capital are under his command, he will order them to surrender to Zhang Fei. And that is what happens. Every time they appear before a town or city, the garrison surrenders. If a garrison hesitates, Yan Yan says, "I've surrendered, so what do you think you can do that is different?" Back at the siege of Luoqing, Xuanda has heard that Kong Ming and Zhang Fei are on their way. He decides to take the city, having bored the defenders by never responding to the taunts that Zhang Ren has thrown at him day after day. The very next day they launch an assault, but Zhang Ren is able to mount a counterattack through one of the city gates that Xuanda has not attacked. The result is a complete success for Zhang Ren, and his attack takes Xuanda by surprise. Zhang Ren rides straight for Xuanda and crashes through his men, scattering them. Xuanda turns and flees. Zhang Ren, with just a few of his men, pursues him into the hills and draws closer and closer. Just as it seems inevitable that Xuanda will be captured, round the corner comes a troop, led by Zhang Fei. The two Zhangs clash. But not long after Yan Yan arrives with the bulk of the army, and, seeing this, Zhang Ren turns and flees, with Zhang Fei in hot pursuit right up to the city wall. Zhang Ren makes it in through the city gate just in time. Meanwhile, Guanzhong and Wei Yan have beaten another division of the enemy's troops, and have accepted their surrender. This loss hits Zhang Ren hard. Together with his officers, he plans to trap and kill Zhang Fei by challenging him to a duel, then pretending to flee and leading him into an ambush. The next day this works so well that Zhang Fei finds himself in great danger. At the very last moment, and completely by good fortune, Zhao Zilong arrives and saves him. By this time Kong Ming too has arrived, somewhat astonished that Zhang Fei is already there, and so many cities have submitted. He too decides upon the old trick of fighting, fleeing, and then ambushing in order to finally deal with the resistance in Luoqing. He drives up to one of the main gates in his carriage, dressed in his Daoist robes and apparently without a care in the world. Behind him come a gaggle of deliberately shoddy-looking troops. This proves too tempting to Zhang Ren, who is lured out of the city. Drawn into the ambush set by Kong Ming and his men, he is captured. He is brought before Xuanda, who asks, "Why did you hold out when everyone else has surrendered?" "Do you think a loyal servant can have more than one master?" replies Zhang Ren, furious and fiery in his defiance. "Submission means you live, that is the reality of the times we live in. I might pretend to submit now, but I will strike back later, so kill me," says Zhang Ren. Nothing that Xuanda can do or say can soften this defiance, and in the end Zhang Ren is executed. As a poet has said, "An authentic man can't serve two masters." Through his loyalty, his death was like no death at all. Like the heavenly moon, his honor still shines out, lighting up the whole city of Luoqing. The army now move to the walls of Luoqing, and Xuanda calls for the city to surrender. The gate is thrown open, and Xuanda rides in to take his prize. As they enter the city by one gate, Lu Zhang's son Lu Sun flees through the opposite gate, and takes the news to Chengdu. As he consults with his father, a letter arrives from Fa Zheng, who has suggested to Xuanda that he try to persuade Lu Zhang to submit. The letter has somewhat the opposite result, as in his fury Lu Zhang tears up the letter and plans for the counterattack. So desperate is he is even persuaded to write to his other archenemy, Zhang Lu, asking for help. Far off in the northwest, Ma Chao has built up his own base among the Chong tribes of Longxi. He has defeated the governor of Jiqing, taken over the city, and then pardoned the governor for resisting. However, visiting relatives soon after, this governor, Yang Fu, breaks down and confesses he is ashamed that he betrayed the trust he was given to defend the city. Therein then a plot is hatched, supported in particular by one relative, an 82-year-old matriarch. Drawing Ma Chao to the attack before the city of Liqing, the plotters spring an ambush on Ma Chao, encouraged by the fact that Cao Cao has sent Xiahou Yuan to support the plot. Ma Chao's army is cut to pieces. Ma Chao escapes but only just and rides hell for leather back to his city of Jiqing. But as soon as he arrives at the gate he is met by a hail of arrows. Two of the friends of Yang Fu who were pardoned at the same time have seized the city. They then drag his wife to the walls and slay her there before her husband's eyes, throwing her body down before him. Then his 3 infant sons are brought up and murdered, followed by more than a dozen other members of his family. Ma Chao's grief and anger know no bounds, and he almost collapses from his horse. But Xiahou Yuan is fast coming up behind him, so he has to turn and fight his way through with a handful of followers. But he is not done for. Using the cover of darkness, Ma Chao and his men double back and arrive at the gate of Liqing. They fool the guards into thinking they are from the rebel group, and the gate is opened. The bloodshed and revenge that follow are horrific. Not even the 82-year-old matriarch is spared. Ma Chao slays her himself. But there is no long-term safety here, so Ma Chao leaves the sacked city and flees west. En route he is attacked again and again until eventually there are fewer than 10 men riding with him. But on and on he rides, until he reaches Zhonglu in Guanzhong, where he offers his services, which are gladly received. The new recruits give Zhonglu the confidence to plan to seize Yizhou, and to defy Cao Cao. Zhonglu even contemplates making Ma Chao his son-in-law, but one of his advisors, Yang Bo, strongly resists this, pointing out that Ma Chao's actions have led to the death of his entire family, so this is not a good augury. When Ma Chao hears of this, he swears to exact revenge on Yang Bo, while Yang Bo swears to get rid of Ma Chao. At this moment the letter from Lu Zhang arrives proposing an alliance against Xuanda. Initially Zhang Lu refuses, but when a second letter arrives, his advisor Yang Song reads it and recommends that, seeing that Lu Zhang is offering to make over 20 cities to Zhang Lu, this is too good an offer to refuse. In the ensuing debate, the opinion goes this way, and that until a man stands up and says, "I've but little fame, but I can capture Xuanda, and make Lu Zhang honor his promise of 20 cities. I just need a few soldiers." So who is this bold man? All will be revealed.